سلام للجميع. Hi for everyone. عنا very important subject هو Fourier Analysis as we know, and Fourier series or Fourier series representation. Fourier Analysis, it is very important subject because it is used for signal analysis or digital signal processing or signal analog processing. What do we mean by this subject? Here we have complex signal. يعني أي complex signal, أي wave different from sine or cosine, it is the sum of sine or cosine and a DC component. يعني sine و cosine and DC component gives a complex wave, or any complex wave consists of this sine and cosine. For example, here this wave above consists of the following sine waves. يعني by addition, by sum of these signals will give the above wave, or by another way بشكل تاني. يعني إذا عنا هيدي إذا لنفترض جمعنا، إذا هاي الويف هاي ساين ويف، هيدي ساين ويف عندها امبليتيود A frequency F، يعني A ساين أوميجا تي عندها. هاي جمعناها مع هاي عندها تو ويفز، هون ويف وحدة، يعني هاي فريكونسي دبل، يعني عنا نحنا ماينس، هاي ماينس اي سي لأنه بالعكس، هاي ماينس A over 2. الامبليتيود reduced 2 times and the frequency multiplied sine 2 omega t. هاي عنا 3 سايكل يعني فريكونسي تريبل، والامبليتيود minimum أو reduce 3 times sine 3 omega t. هاي عنا هي 1 2 3 4 سايكلز amplitude reduced 4 times sine 4 omega t. فهون معناتها انه اذا جينا جمعنا هودي 3 سيجنالز فبيعطونا شو؟ بيعطونا هاي السيجنال، يعني بيعطونا هون طبعا فينا نجمع لشو؟ للانفينيتي يعني إذا جمعنا مش للإنفينيتي بيعطينا هيدا الشكل، ولكن an ideal for infinity will give the following pulse. By also continue this cycle will give the following cycle. يعني بيعطينا هون triangular wave. يعني summation of sine waves will give triangular. إذا كان في عنا square wave also، إذا كان في عنا square wave also, it is represented by the summation of different sine or cosine and DC components. إذا كان في عنا half wave or full wave also gives or analyzed by Fourier to give the summation of sine and cosine. And we can now give the equation يعني of Fourier series representation in trigonometric form. يعني trigonometric Fourier series representation. يعني عنا function f of t. Suppose يعني here the function is the function f of t. F of t for this signal, suppose the function for this signal is f of t. يعني f of t معناتها f of t equal the DC component. Suppose the DC component is 0 over 2 plus summation لا n equal 1 into infinity an cosine n omega t plus summation n equal 1 للinfinity bn sine n omega t. يعني الان هي النمبر of sine or cosine as shown above. يعني عنا 3 4 للinfinity من 1 للinfinity and الان من 1 للinfinity. فهاي this is the DC component, DC or constant component. Here we have cosine components and here we have the sine components. AC or an cosine omega and t represents the cosine function and sine function, where a0 an and bn are called coefficients of Fourier series, trigonometric series representation. الان من ال1 للinfinity. الأوميجا equal 2 pi f or f1 over t or almost we take 2 pi over t الأوميجا. الA0 by Fourier trigonometric Fourier series equal 2 over t A0 over 2 over t الانتجرال من minus t over 2 ل t over 2 يعني complete period f of t dt. the following function an equal 2 over t من الانتجرال من minus t over 2 ل t over 2 f of t cosine n omega t dt and bn equal 2 over t الانتجرال من minus t over 2 ل t over 2 f of t sine n omega t dt. These are the equations of the trigonometric Fourier series. Another form we can see these equations by another form where f of t equal a0 over 2 plus summation n equal 1 to infinity cn cosine n omega t plus phase of n plus phase of n. Here we can represent the spectrum of this wave, where Cn equal Cn, يعني it is from sine and cosine, يعني هي radical an square plus bn square. Why? Because here we have a cosine and here we have a sine. an may be in a certain value and bn with a certain value. Cn, it is the result between them, then it is the pi Pythagoras. It is the radical square for each component. The phase of n, it is represented by minus tangent minus 1 bn over an, or equal minus arc tangent bn over an. This is the phase. Here on the component, the DC component, it is by the as a real value of the signal. Real value هيدا imaginary value. Imaginary value. الريال هاي imaginary. Sine. Sine والcosine. For example, suppose given the following waveform, يعني the following signal, suppose a signal of t, and here the amplitude f of t, or f of t. Here we have f of t. The function f of t, suppose we have a function a rectangular waveform, as a rectangular waveform. Suppose here we have 0, here minus tau over 2, and here tau over 2. يعني صار عنا هون amplitude, suppose the amplitude A, and here the time or taken from this من هون time t period, هذا period of this wave. فأول شي بدنا coefficients. يعني ال AN, A0, AN, BN. وتاني شي بدنا we need to calculate أو to state the equation, trigonometric Fourier series equation أو representation. فال A0 equal شو؟ A0, the general equation of A0 هي 2 over t integral من minus t over 2 ل t over 2 f of t dt يعني equal 2 over t هيدا البيريود الانتجرال من minus tau over 2 للتاو over 2 يعني all the signal here is 0 here 0 يعني عنا من minus tau over 2 للتاو over 2 equal a يعني من minus tau over 2 للتاو over 2 f of t هي a dt a dt يعني equal 2 over t ال a الانتجرال لل a dt هي a t from minus tau over 2 للتاو over 2 فequal 2 over t a tau over 2 replace t by tau over 2 minus tau over 2 tau over 2 minus tau over 2 يعني equal 2a tau over t tau over 2 minus plus tau over 2 tau هيدا ال a 0 ال a 0 هي 2a tau over t ال a n equal 2 over t integral minus t over 2 general equation t over from minus t over 2 f of t cosine n omega t dt الأوميجا equal 2 pi over t we can replace omega by its value فال a0 ال an sorry ال an equal 2 over t الانتجرال من minus tau over 2 to tau over 2 f of t a cosine n 2 pi over t dt يعني equal 2a constant 2a over t الانتجرال للكوساين a cosine n 2 pi t over t cosine n 2 pi t over t يعني as a cosine a t over a t dt يعني equal a يعني t 1 over a يعني t over 2 n pi sine n 2 pi over t from minus tau over t to tau over t يعني equal t مع t 2 مع 2 يعني a على n pi sine 2n 2 pi n 2 pi over t times tau over 2 minus sine n 2 pi over t بماينس tau over t minus tau over t فequal فهون A على n باي sin n2 n tau over t sin minus alpha equal minus sin alpha يعني بصير plus becomes plus sin 2 مع 2 n tau n pi here we forget n pi tau over t here n pi tau over t يعني sin n pi tau over t and sin n pi tau over t equal to 2a over n pi sin n pi tau over t. This is n. Bn equal general equation 2 over t integral من minus t over 2 for t over 2 f of t sin n 2 pi over t t dt يعني equal equal 2 over t الانتجرال من minus tau over 2 for tau over 2 f of t هي a sin n2 pi over t t dt يعني equal 2a over t 2a over t sin a t dt هاي a كأنه equal 1 over a 1 over a يعني times t over t هون t over 2 n pi minus cosine 2 and n2 pi over t from minus tau over 2 to tau over 2 يعني الBN equal 2 tt يعني a على n pi minus cosine n 2 pi over t بتاو over 2 minus cosine n 2 pi over t minus tau over 2 كوساين ماينس ألفا كوساين هذه كأنه ماينس ألفا هي equal كوساين ألفا يعني implies البي ان equal a على n باي minus كوساين 2 مع 2 يعني n باي tau over t minus plus minus minus plus cosine minus alpha equal cosine alpha. cosine 2 مع 2 n باي tau over t، يعني minus cosine plus cosine the same phase يعني equal to 0. يعني صار عنا implies f of t equal what? This is a main equation a0 over 2 plus summation an cosine n omega t plus bn 0. bn 0 يعني plus 0 implies f of t equal a0 here a0 هي 2a tau over t 2a tau over t 2a tau over t over 2 يعني هاي مع هاي بتروح، يعني بتصير عنا a tau over t plus summation لل an هي شو؟ an هي هاي هي هاي ال an هاي ال an 2a على n باي sin n باي تاو على t 2a على n باي sin n باي على t يعني n باي تاو over t times cosine n 2 باي على t هذا هلا for هاي المين equation يعني f of t equal a tau over t plus 2a على باي 2a على باي suppose that هون هيدي التاو equal 1 هيدي minus half and half يعني 1 and t equal 2. That means we have a square wave. In case of square wave يعني the f of t equal a tau over t يعني a b1 over 2 plus summation to a or a على 2 a على باي 2a على باي summation 1 over n sin n باي تاو يعني n باي تاو 1 على 2 بكوساين n omega t يعني implies f of t n omega t يعني n 2 pi over t and 2 pi على t يعني باي t t2 2 2 مع 2 باي t ف implies f of t equal a over 2 plus ال a n هاي for ال a n suppose we take a n firstly a n equal 2a على n pi sin n pi over 2 هاي 2a على pi على n pi sin n pi over 2 implies for n equal 1 يعني ال a1 equal n equal 1 يعني 2a على pi sin n equal 1 يعني sin pi over 2 يعني equal 2a على pi sin pi over 2 equal 1 هاي equal 1 for n equal 2 implies a2 equal 2a على 2 pi sin 2 pi على 2 يعني equal sin pi sin pi equal 0 يعني ال a2 equal to 0 ال n equal 3 implies ال a3 equal 2a على 3 pi sin 3 pi على 2 يعني equal 3 pi over 2 pi over 2 3 يعني equal 2a على 3 pi على 3 pi for n equal 4 it is noticed that إنه ال a 4 equal to 0 why لأنه بصير في عنا sin 4 pi over 2 يعني sin 2 pi sin 2 pi it is noticed an equal 0 لأنه sin 4 pi over 2 يعني sin 2 pi 0 and for n equal 5 ال an equal 2a على 5 pi implies ال an equal what equal 0 for n odd يعني for n not odd for n even for n even يعني 2 4 6 for even ملاحظين هون as you know it's 2 0 لأن 4 0 لأن 4 6 0 وال an equal 2a على n pi for n odd يعني شو يعني 1 3 5 هيدا. implies the trigonometric Fourier series representation of f of t is f of t equal here a over 2 plus here 2a على n باي، يعني 2a على n باي، يعني 2a على باي into cosine 2a على n باي 2a على باي n باي n، يعني 1 over 1 cosine 1 باي t if n equal 1، يعني 1 over 1 cosine باي t، يعني 1 ضرب باي t plus 1 over 3 1 over 2 0 1 over 3 cosine 3 pi t plus 1 over 5 cosine 5 pi t (1 over 5 cosine 5 pi t) plus 1 over 1 over 7 cosine 7 pi t and to infinity. This will cause, and this is the sum of cosine pi t 1 over 3 cosine 3 pi t. The sum of cosine will give the following, the shape of the following signal here, spectrum of f of t, in cosine amplitude spectrum يعني عندنا هون 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 to infinity, and here the amplitude at a0 1 over 2 a0 يعني a over 2, not a0 as here, a over 2 here, a over 2 a over 2. Suppose that here is the a over 2 at n equal 1 and n equal 1, the amplitude of this cosine is 2a over pi here يعني هذه 2a over pi here for n equal to 0 For n equals 3 here, for n equals 3 here, 2a over 3 pi, 3 high pi, 2 over 3 pi, 2 over 3 pi يعني 2a over 3 pi. For n equal 4, 0. For n equal 5, 2a over 5p, 2a over 5p. And for 6, 0. For 7, 2a over 7 pi, and so on, and so on. This is for the spectrum. This is the spectrum of this signal, and that's all now for this section of this subject. We have more subjects for the Fourier representation. يعني إذا for this signal here it is represented by the cosine waves, the following cosine waves, and the following DC component to give the analysis of this signal. Thank you very much for this, for your attention. Thank you.